Why is the Ermi superior to other mold tests on the market? We're going to talk about that today. I'm Dr. Diane. I'm your chronic illness and Lyme expert. And before we get into the top 3 reasons that are so important to understand in deciding what mold test to choose, I want to first address one of the elephants in the room, which is that you hear so many different things from so many different people. So I also want to talk today about some of the pros and cons. And before I do that, one more thing to say, which is if you have mold-related illness, if you have chronic inflammatory response syndrome, if you have any symptoms such as fibro, pain, chronic fatigue, brain fog, depersonalization, or any of the crazy, strange symptoms that mold can give you, getting out of your house is essential, or getting into a mold-free zone is essential. And I can't tell you the number of times people try to skip this step and months go by and people are not better. And it is the hardest thing. I think sometimes people skip this step or try to because it's a really hard thing to wrap one's brain around, that you have to basically tear your life apart, whether it's completely tearing your house apart for a renovation or whether it is moving to a mold-free place. It's not easy. It's not easy when you feel bad, and it's not cheap. And so there's so many reasons, right, why this is avoided, and I get all of them. And frankly, it's a really crappy choice. Like the crappy choice when you have mold illness and you think you have mold in your home is choosing to stay and feel bad, or choosing to do all the work and leave and feel better. And for me, I know which one I have clearly chosen multiple times in my past now. However, I get why this is hard for people, because it is really hard to wrap the brain around completely reconstructing one's life when you're trying to just survive the day. Okay, so that being said, so now let's talk a little bit more about why this test. So standard test, if you use an inspector, the number of times people have used a mold certified inspector that have missed major mold. I can tell you one patient example of this. This was my most intense patient example of this. I have many patient examples of this, but this is the most intense. So this woman I saw probably about a decade ago now. And we just knew there was mold there. It kept coming up on her lab. She wasn't getting results. We knew it was in her house. And inspector after inspector after inspector after inspector, everything was negative. And I just telling her, like, I know it's here. You're responding. It's just, I know it's here. I know it's here because of how you're responding. I know it's here because we're trying to treat it in your body and it's not going away. So she got frustrated one day and she took a sledgehammer to her wall. I do not recommend doing that. But what she found was ceiling to floor in one wall of her, it was her living room, and it was like across the entire wall, floor to ceiling, sheet of black mold. So how does that happen? Well, see, here's the thing. So a common mold inspector that is mold certified is going to tell you things like, well, you're not going to have black mold if you don't have humidity. So they're going to go around with your humidity markers and they're going to say, black mold can't grow because there's no humidity. But if there was a leak or water at some point, whether it was you or somebody there in the past, if there was a leak at some point, that could have been enough for the mold to grow, especially if it was a sustained leak. Usually black mold does need about 21 days for it to really start growing. But once it's there, once the colonies are there, it's not like it just dries up and the mold goes away if there's no moisture. So all it takes is that leak. The moisture can completely go away, but you still have those colonies. Those colonies might not be as active without that continued moisture source, but they can still put off toxins and still make you very sick, right? So we got to get out of this whole training that mold inspectors think around like, oh, well, if there's no humidity, you're fine. Not true. Plus, that only doesn't apply for all mold either. Like from a standpoint of there's so many different molds that are pathologic to the body. Right. Another thing that these inspectors are doing, these mold certified inspectors, is they're doing things that are these scopes. And some types of testing with scopes are good, but the types of scopes that they're using are just basically collecting particles. And they say, oh, this is an abnormal amount of particles in your house or behind your drywall. Well, or this is a fine number of particles, but it's not telling us what the particles are. So we have no idea if it's like, well, a small amount of particles, but all of them are mold, that would be a problem. Or there could be a large number of particles and none of them are mold, not a problem, right? But they're using that as another tool to say mold or no mold. And then the final thing is it's almost always air test, right? The problem is that the really bad molds for the body are the heavy ones, right? So when they're heavy, they don't suspend in air. They land on surfaces. And when they land on surfaces, well, what winds up happening is they are actually living there and they don't get into that sample, so it will look negative. In fact, some of the people with the worst mold in their house, I have seen air tests miss, just like this particular client I mentioned earlier. So a few of the reasons I really like the Ermi. One is it's a dust test. Dust tests are important. You can do the Ermi, you can do the Emma. The difference between the Ermi and the Emma is the Ermi is looking for the mold species, the Emma is looking for the toxins the mold produce, but both in the dust. Both tests are great. I like the Ermi. I've been using it a long time, but some other clinicians use the Emma. Either way, I think you can get really good data to know if there's a problem. So that's one thing. Secondly is the fact that it is telling us things like species. So either whether you do the Ermi, what we're talking about in this video, or the Emma, you're understanding something about the typologies of mold there, right? You're understanding like how bad they are versus just like, oh, well, the count's high. And if the count's high, then there's a problem. Well, the count of what, right? We want to know what we're dealing with so we know if these are molds that are really, truly problematic for the body. And the final reason why I like this is because it gives us a couple different scoring systems. Now, one of the problems I see with the Ermi is the scoring system is a little wonky, but what I've learned after 15 years of being in the industry is that if we take that scoring system and we change it to what I've seen where people can live in a house and feel good. So if the Ermi is scored at 7 or less, that's where I have consistently seen people be able to recover if they have mold illness in their mold home. If the test is more than 7, that's where I've seen that there is a problem that needs to get taken care of. So that's what I've seen as far as that kind of gateway around, yes, it needs to happen, something needs to change, or no, it does not. So another reason why I like this test is because it is a reasonably low, of course there's a price tag on it, but it's a reasonably low way of testing so you know if you have a mold problem before you even call in inspectors. So some of my favorite inspectors actually incorporate the Ermi or the Emma into their work. So if you're hearing people like talk badly about it, it's usually because the scoring system is wonky. And I'm the first to admit the scoring system with how that test reads as far as positive or negative is not ideal. However, if you take just the information and you score it appropriately to where we actually see people having problems, then all of a sudden we are now dealing with a test that is telling us, yes, there's a problem, what the problem is, how much of these species are there. And so then it becomes a lot easier to say, yeah, we need to figure out where this is and actually call in inspectors that can do a good job. So make sure you're getting inspectors that are truly taking surface samples. They're testing for everything. They're doing that virtual inspection. They are actually taking particle numbers and they're typing them so you know what you're dealing with, right? We want to make sure all of these areas are covered. Otherwise, inspectors are going to miss something, and they do it all the time. So I hope this is helpful. I hope this is not overwhelming because I know this can be, and I hope you will subscribe to my channel so I can continue to give you information like this, and I hope you will not keep me a secret. Share this information with a friend. Please do hit that subscribe button. It really does help more people that need to understand this, that are struggling in the same way that you probably are if you're listening to this, get the help they need. All right, everybody, Dr. Diane here. I'll see you in another video.